Hello and welcome. My name is Vanessa Ortali. I am the founder of the Ladies Community and Heart and Mind Talks. Today, I am super jazzed to have a chat about breath work with breathwork coach Jen Mansell. I welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today and the community to talk about what this all means and how we can actually apply it in our lives every day. And so take a moment and just let us know, who are you and how the heck did you get into breath work?
Yeah, amazing. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks, Vanessa. It's been amazing to see you grow over the past few years, and it just feels so nice to be here and be connecting and sharing with the community. So,
Thanks.
yeah, um, I got into breath work. Um, so, firstly, just for people who don't know, as we're going to be talking a lot about breath work is, I call it an active meditation. So it's any time that you are consciously breathing in a certain way, pattern, you are doing breath work. So when you're thinking about your breathing and you're breathing in a specific way to get a desired outcome, that is breath work. Okay. There's different versions of it, and we'll talk about those today. But if I refer to that, it's using the breath as a tool for transformation and changing your state of being. So I got into breath work, I guess I'd say about 3 to 5 years ago. I was running retreats with some other women in California, and we were using different modalities to help support these women to really transform and change their lives. And I started to see that the women would come into the weekend, a little more subdued, a little more quiet, and would do a few breathwork sessions over the weekend. And come the end of the weekend, we're just like, their vibrant selves were coming out to be expressed. And I never forgot it.
How
And
long did they do breath work for you to see those changes and results within them?
yeah, I mean, this was very short period of time. So we were doing weekend retreats. So over the course of 3 days, I do what I'm trained in is doing deeper dive breathwork sessions that are more therapeutic in nature. So you breathe over the course of an hour. So that's what we were doing there,
Cool.
and I really saw big shifts in the women that were participating in the retreats. And so when I came up, I've struggled with my health for most of my life. I started to realize in the past few years that I just wasn't getting better. And I started to realize I was creating my own unwellness. I was creating it from my mind. And so breath work was a tool that I turned to really help me pull out some of the roots of why I was continuing to live my life as the sick child that I was when I was little, even though I had grown up and was actually healthy and well. So truthfully, I decided to get trained in breathwork after meditating, and I just kept hearing you need to do this, you need to do this. But I had many moments of evidence in my own life and in the lives of people around me that it was a really powerful tool. So that's sort of my long-winded story of how
Mhm.
I got here.
And what changes did you see in your life once you started using breath work as a tool to heal?
Yeah. I think the number one change I've seen in myself and in other people is just people become more of themselves. They just become more expressed and more able to allow stuff to move through their bodies and move through their life.
Mm.
So my teacher always said that doing breath work is training you in getting better at being with the unknown, at going into something and not knowing where you're going to go, and not letting go of your mind and allowing life to take you into something. So breath work is a constant training of getting better at that.
That's so beautiful because leaning into uncertainty and surrendering to life is such a hard concept to practice in a day to day, especially when things are happening and then you get tied to the outcome and you start tying your worth to your accomplishments. And I love being able to provide different tools like this to people so that it can make that transition into surrender and uncertainty a little bit easier.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
the breath is actually a beautiful tool to practice surrender in micro moments of your day, because truly our inhale is like we take in life, we use our powerful action to bring in the air, and then when we exhale, guess what? We relax, we let go, we surrender, we allow it to happen. So each moment that we're exhaling, we're teaching our body, like, it's okay, let go, allow, just relax. And so, um, like, one of the most simplest, easiest tools is just taking a sigh of relief in moments where we can feel like stress, tension, tightness, contraction. How can we practice just going,
If you're listening, I hope you just took a sigh of relief. This was your moment. We'll give you one
this
more
is your
second to do
moment.
another one. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. And so over time, when we train ourselves in those little moments when things are doing this, which we naturally do, things come up during our day, there's uncertainties, we hold on to stuff that's coming at us, we brace ourselves. So when we, over time, exhale, relax throughout the day, we start to train our body that, oh, when things come at us, when we're stress is approaching, we can relax.
Mhm.
We train our body to do that through the breath.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Even Michael Singer, when he talks about that, of when things happen, we're always closing and opening this area, right? It's our heart, our
Mm,
breath. And it's so true. When things happen, we literally and figuratively like close ourselves off and try to protect ourselves, right? Fetal position.
mm-hmm.
And instead, it's almost we need to then reprogram and train ourselves to do the opposite, keep
Exactly.
ourselves open, heart open, breathing, and then that way we're not phased and or can better control our reaction when things happen to us.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when your body is open and your breath is open and relaxing, you can't hold on to stuff.
Yeah.
You can't. You literally cannot. It has to move through you. It has to keep going.
This movement too is such a consistent principle, even in Eastern medicine, right? You have acupuncture and all of these, the movement within our body, the breath, the blood, the emotions. And I
Hmm.
think in our society, we get so, like you had visualized, right? Like so tense and so stressed that everything becomes stagnant. And that's where illness and all of that can start to brew. And so this movement concept, I really love that, of just breathing the intention and then creating more movement and flow within the body and in life, because it'll just transition.
Absolutely. Love
Yeah.
what you said. Yeah,
Yeah.
because dis-ease is like lack of flow,
Yeah.
right? And like you said, Chinese medicine understands this energy flow and
Hmm.
breath flow. Most of us are breathing super shallow. We're
Hmm.
breathing in like patterns that are, not consistent. And we know that our whole body system comes into balance and equilibrium when we breathe in a beautiful, consistent, coherent flow. They call it coherence breath. When our breath comes into this beautiful like pattern and wave, our our whole brain system starts to balance itself out. We go from our sympathetic nervous system to our parasympathetic nervous system. We come into that flow state that we talk about wanting to be in. And
Did you
so,
did
go
you
ahead.
get trained by HeartMath as well? HeartMath Institute, because they talk about
I
coherence.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
haven't done training with them, but
Okay, cool.
I know the founder of Heart Math, Debbie, very
Mhm.
well. And yeah, it's all they, have different tools to be able to test whether or not you're in coherence, but they know that the number one thing that helps you get into coherence is breathing,
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Okay,
balancing your breath.
let's dive in. I'd
Yeah,
love for people to walk away from this mini chat on with actual tools that
sure.
they can practice today to start to see that vibrance that you spoke about, that I'm sure so many people are listening and thinking, I want that. Like, I want to be more myself. I want to be more vibrant. How
Sure.
can we start one day at a time? Just
Yeah.
being more aware. I know you talked about obviously the awareness in every
Hmm.
moment. Let's see some more tools because this is so
Sure.
fun. I love this stuff,
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah. Well, the biggest breath pattern that has been studied, there are many of them. Some people may have heard of like box breathing and things like that. But there's been one that's been studied a lot, which is called conscious connected breathing, which just basically means that you're breathing in a consistent flowing pattern. So, so like we just talked about, most of us are breathing, we're either holding our breath or we're breathing inconsistently or really shallow. So when you start to take deeper breaths and you breathe in this continuous circular flow, you start to literally put your body into this state of balance, of equilibrium, where things can flow, where the things you're holding on to can move through, where you can let go of tension and stress, because it can't, you can't hold on to it when you breathe in this way. So a pattern, this is a pattern that I like to teach people to do in the morning. To the way that I do it is I will do 10 conscious breaths, and then I'll hold my breath for maybe 30 seconds just to come into a place of stillness. So it's like the breath is clearing things out, and then we come into stillness, and then we use the breath to clear things out and come into stillness. So the way you breathe is through your mouth into your belly. So when we breathe into our belly, we're telling our system we're safe, it's okay, we're all right, you don't have to stress, you don't have to be scared, we're okay, we're safe. So we breathe through our mouth into our belly, and we connect our inhale to our exhale. So it sounds like this. It kind of sounds like ocean waves, you'll see.
And why the inhale and exhale through your mouth and not your nose?
Just because it's easier to take in oxygen. Yeah. In this breath, we're kind of activating the body more. So we breathe through our mouth. Other people, you can still do it through your nose if somebody really has a hard time breathing through their mouth. But you can take in more air this way. And a part of what we want to do, a part of that, like accessing more of who you are, is expanding a bit beyond your comfort zone of taking in air. We know that's where we find these parts of ourselves. It's just a little bit outside of our regular. If we breathe in the same pattern, we're just going to do the same things. We're going to show up as the same people. We push our edge a little bit, take in a bit more air than we think we can. We're able to access different parts of ourselves come alive.
Neat. I love the way you say that. That's really cool. And I've never thought about it in that way before. How is that different than when we breathe, let's say, in for 4
Mm-hmm.
counts, out for 7? The or you probably know better
Sure.
what the different counts are, but how does
Yeah.
that change, and how does our body respond to that change?
Yeah. So there's different beliefs and ways of breathing.
Mhm.
Typically, breathing through your nose is more relaxing. tends to signal our parasympathetic nervous system to calm down and relax. Also, if we take really long exhales, that also tends to calm our system down. So we know that if we're breathing like we're stimulating our system, right? Mouth breathing, big breathing tends to be more stimulating and awakening to our system, activating. Long, slow breaths, or also nose breaths, tend to be more calming and relaxing. So when people do different counts of breathing, so whether you're breathing, you're doing a box breathing, 4 counts, the counting really just gives your mind something to focus on. And when you balance the inhales and the exhales, you're bringing your mind into a state of balance. So our bodies are always trying to find that equilibrium place, right? So when we breathe, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, we're creating that balance with our breath, which our body can then mimic. When we take in less air than we exhale out, we're calming our system down. We're telling our system like, oh, no, we need to, like, let's get rid of more stuff. Let's relax a little deeper. Let's calm things down. So there's different patterns to get different results. I always tell people in the morning, you want to breathe big, bold, and through the mouth. And at night, you want to breathe low, long, slow, and through the nose.
Cool.
So go ahead.
And how long should each session be in the morning and the evening to engage in the body, whatever we're looking to engage?
Totally. So I tell people in the morning to do a 10, 20, 30 practice, which means you do 10 breaths. This takes about 5 minutes. 10 breaths, just like I did, through the mouth. So you breathe into your belly. 10 breaths, and then you hold your breath, come into stillness. Then you do 20 breaths, hold your breath, come into stillness. Then you do 30 breaths, hold your breath, come into stillness. You want to hold your breath on your exhale. So we can do it together. Let's do 10 and we'll try it out and we'll see how we feel. Okay?
Okay.
So you're going to breathe through your mouth into your belly.
And should your eyes be closed when you're doing this, or can you do this while driving if people are driving right now?
You can do it whenever.
Okay.
You don't have to be in a quiet state with your eyes closed.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Your body will feel a shift in its state regardless of whether your eyes open or eyes closed. Yeah. What I will say is that it is sometimes helpful for people who are very disconnected from their bodies and their breath. It can be very, very helpful for them to close their eyes, to feel their body, to feel where they're breathing, to feel the air, to bring them into a deeper connection with themselves. So that's one thing to know. So we'll try 10 breaths together, and then on our final exhale, we're just going to hold our breath. We'll see how we feel. Okay? So
Ready.
breathing in through the mouth, into the belly. Then just exhale, let it go. In through the mouth. Good. Connecting each breath to the next breath. Taking in lots of air, then letting it go. One more breath. Breathing in. We'll exhale out all the air. And then just hold your breath at the bottom. And then we'll just return to normal breath and come back.
My body definitely feels more activated right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting, it will like activate your body, but also it clears your mind. Like when you hold your
Mhm.
breath, there's like this clarity that happens. Which really what's happening is when we breathe, we're putting our mind's attention and focus onto our breath. And so instead of its focus and attention being on, we're just diverting it. We're focusing on something else so that the mind can stop chattering and we can
Mhm.
come back into presence.
And it's really just turning everything that you do into almost a meditative state, because you can do
Mhm.
this and it brings you back. And it's sometimes, I think, a little bit easier for people to try if they have a hard time meditating because they're focusing on something else, you know?
Yes.
What's
Yeah.
the difference between pursing your lips when you breathe in and not? Because I noticed when I was doing that exercise, like I wanted to purse my lips to
Yeah.
breathe in as opposed to the noise and a little bit of a louder breath that you were doing.
Yeah. Um, Either way is fine. It doesn't really matter. Some people would say that you can more easily take in air with your mouth open.
Mhm.
It doesn't really matter. You can also breathe in like that. The key is that you don't want to breathe out like that. Most of us really control our exhales. So we'll go like, we just want to let the exhale go. It's our moment to like relax and not have to hang on, no control. So breathing in that way is fine.
Okay. And what
Yeah.
element does noise add to this practice? If people
Mm.
sigh and add additional noises, does that deepen the breath work or what does it do?
Yeah. So it's not mandatory. I tend to make sound when I breathe because if I was demoing it without sound, you wouldn't exactly, like I would just be like, you would know exactly what I'm doing. So you don't have to make a sound. You don't have to go when you breathe out. And making a sigh and sometimes expressing that relief or release can be helpful to your system. We know that energy moves through us in vibration, and so using sound or a sigh can also help trigger your mind to be like, yes, we're letting go, we're releasing. So doing sighs of relief during the day is actually really helpful to calm your nervous system and to decompress from the stress and the weight of life and everything you're doing. So it can be really helpful, and it's also not mandatory. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I guess it depends where you are too. If you're on the subway and you're trying your breath work, that's one thing. But at home and if you're meditating, whatever, you can do that sigh out loud and have a little bit more flexibility. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
I hope that even while listening to you and all of this explanation, and as people gain a better understanding of what breathwork is, you're already starting to feel a difference in
Yeah.
listening to this little workshop. What can people expect when working with you one on one? How does the practice of breathwork
Hmm.
and that letting go, and how do you actually tie it to that letting go and emotional experience?
Sure. Yeah. So when we breathe, the breath that I taught you, the in and out through the mouth, um, that is the breathing modality that I use in my one-on-one deeper dive sessions. It was studied back in the 60s and 70s by these psychologists who were doing deep therapeutic work. They were actually working with psychedelic substances like LSD and were helping people with addiction, trauma, stress, all of that to move through these stuck emotions and stresses in their body. And they realized that when the substances became illegal and they could no longer use them, that they could actually use the breath to help people go into these deeper places within themselves. And so there's been a ton of science and studying behind the power of using the breath along with music in a space where you're held. Someone is there with you, holding the space and guiding you and helping you feel safe. That we can use the breath to go into, they call it an altered state of consciousness. So a different state of perception and perceiving yourself and seeing yourself and understanding yourself. So really when we breathe over the course of an hour, eventually we kind of go into this place where we can be beyond our mind, and we can start to access parts of our unconscious and subconscious mind, which in the coaching world they may call our blind spots. Our blind spots start to come up to the surface, and we see things that we may not have been able to see. Memories sometimes come back to us. We have awarenesses of why things are happening the way they are. It basically, much like if you're a meditator, and you may have come to this place through meditation, of where you can eventually access this place where your mind has calmed, and it's just like there's space for clarity and awareness and insight to drop in. We can access that place using the breath as a tool to get us there. So when I work with people one-on-one, that's what we do. We breathe over the course of an hour. We build up the breath, and we help you to access that state where the body's innate wisdom, like I really deeply believe that the body knows how to heal itself. If we can get our minds out of the way, it will tell you, this is the next thing you got to look at. This is what's important. This is what I need to let go of, and can release it through the practice of breath work and breathing. Because when we breathe in this way, like I said before, you can't hold on. So the things that you have been holding on to may come up to the surface to be released and move through. It kind of like closes up unclosed loops.
Mm-hmm. And when you work with people one-on-one, do they then need to take that to continue to further heal? Or what is the entire healing process with you when they start to dive deeper into breath work?
Sure. I find that people start to build a relationship with their breath. They start to recognize and acknowledge that their breath is a really powerful healing tool. And so I would say that most of them start to build more of a daily practice and relationship with how they're breathing, and using it in situations where they feel stressed or overwhelmed or caught in something. The process is, I usually tell people, if there's something specific that you want to move through, you're very clear on that. You can, over the course of a couple of breathwork sessions, usually 2 or 3, we can help you move through that specific experience, memory, emotional stuck place, whatever it is. And really the ultimate goal in doing breath work, whether it's one-on-one or in a group setting, is that you build a relationship with your breath so that you can use it in your everyday. So I do these deep dive sessions with people, which is really powerful and healing, much like going on a retreat or something like that, with the ultimate goal that I give you tools and teach you how to utilize your breath to manage your everyday life and your everyday stresses and your emotions that come up. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. I actually want to be more intentional about adding this to my routines, because I'll breathe during meditation, but I still just want to be more intentional about it and dive deeper into my own breathwork practice, because it's such a great tool to connect us with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yes.
And if
Yeah.
the more we connect with ourselves and our own source, and just deepen that connection, it, like you said, it allows us to step into the truth of our being. It allows us to further connect with others. And that's why it was so important for me to have this chat with you within the community, because I want to just continue to bring in people like you to provide more tools so that people can connect with themselves and then connect with others, because community is beautiful, but in order to show up in a community, we need to be our best selves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we need
Yeah.
to take that self responsibility to keep moving through our blocks and our stuck places that don't allow us to show up in that way, which
Mhm.
we all have, which need to be met with love and breath and, you know, moved through so that we can. Yeah. Cause I would, you know, the people in your community, we're all people who are, I feel like, called to serve, here to serve, on a path of wanting to be more of ourselves, and wanting to bring that to the world. And so having any tool that can help support, and some people will resonate with the breath and some people won't, but I think it's so valuable, because if you do resonate with it, it can become a very, very powerful and free transformational tool that you can use at any moment of any day to radically shift your life. It has
Mhm.
changed me so deeply. Um, just learning to use my breath to open up to life, to let life happen, to let it move through, to trust that it's all going in the direction that it should be, that's in my highest alignment. Yeah.
And I also just want to emphasize that you can hear in how Jen is talking is this is a practice. You know, I always try to emphasize this because I don't want you to feel like anything is wrong with you or that
Yeah.
you're not good enough, because this is an ongoing practice. We're all healing and letting go and moving through things on a daily basis. I
Hmm.
think, though, that as we get better with our tools and we continue to practice, we can move through them quicker, and we're
Yeah.
more aware of when we need to move through things so that we don't get stuck in them as long, and it doesn't cause as much stress within the body.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. It's not about changing like things forever. There's always going to be stuff coming up, and like you said, it's just about like how many tools can we use and how quickly can we learn to let things go or move through things or just get better at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what my partner and I always say. The goal is not that we won't fight. Like, fighting is going to happen. The goal is that we come back to love sooner.
Cool. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I would love, and that can be done towards yourself too, right?
Yeah.
It's you get back to love sooner with others and with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the
that's so
goal
neat.
is the goal is not to always stay in love, you know.
Hmm.
We acknowledge that that's maybe not the the desired goal. It's just to keep coming back, you know. Same with the breath. We can't always consciously be aware of our breathing. That's not the point. The point is, like, in those moments, it's to train ourselves to come back so that in those moments when we really need the support of our breath, when we're really stressed, that it's there because we've trained it to be there.
Love it. That's so great.
Yeah.
And how can people get a hold of you or reach out to you if they want to find out more about breath work and or work with you one-on-one? Where can they find you?
Totally. I follow me on Instagram. I love chatting with people on there. So I can give you my handle and you can put it under the video or whatever.
Yeah. Say it out
Uh,
loud right now in case
okay.
people are just listening.
Yeah, it's at J.L. Mansell, Mansell, J.L. Mansell. I do a lot of dancing and funny things on there. So you can find me there. You can also find me at my website at jenmansell.com. And I can give you my email if you want to reach out to me directly. But I do one-on-ones with people, and I also do big group experiences, because I really want to create safe, held, light healing containers for people to heal in community where we can be together. I don't think that the real healing happens just on our own. I think we get to be together and do this stuff together. So a couple times a month, I have big groups of people and we come together and we do breath work and we hang out, and it's beautiful. So
That's awesome. That sounds like a great birthday or bridal
yeah,
shower
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
bachelorette breathwork
Absolutely.
session.
Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your training and your tools with us to continue to expand our knowledge. I really appreciate you doing that and for being of service to so many people. It's
Mm,
awesome to help people just work through their stuff and let that go, because you just being on this planet is creating a ripple effect and helping other people to become their best selves. So thank you.
yeah, thanks, Vanessa. I really
Yeah,
appreciate that.
awesome. And thanks for taking the time to listen and for doing this for you. Have fun with this breathwork stuff. Enjoy. Make it light and airy. Just have fun. And I hope you can start to see those shifts on a daily basis. We will chat with you soon and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.